Seattle, I think. All right. Everyone's favorite segment, Forget About It or Fugazi. We will read a statement. All right. If we agree with it, it's a hot take. We'll say forget about it. If we disagree with it, we think it's a bad take, we will say Fugazi. JT, ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The NBA's injury reporting is ruining the league's ability to increase popularity.
Oh, forget about it. Because we don't have consistent injury reporting, people can't bet on the games consistently. And we know the gateway to any sport's popularity, at least in America, is betting. Like, I can't imagine how hard it is to bet on NBA games. NBA betting is so hard that you've heard of the app Prize Picks, right?
I have not. Look at you knowing something.
No, but I see it all the time.
Oh, you hear? Okay.
But basically, they will void like your bet if like NBA guys like don't play or they don't come back in the game because they know the injury reporting and how they handle injuries in the NBA is so fickle. Like it's got to change, or the popularity of the sport will not grow.
Interesting. I'm gonna say Fugazi because I just think it's more about the actual load management part. I think people can live with, and I'm impressed that you finally come around on, hey, all these sports.
I didn't say I used it.
I know what it is. No, I know. I'm just saying I'm impressed by you that you finally come around to realize, like, hey, sports betting really runs the show here.
Bro, I know degeneracy runs sports popularity. I never said that wasn't the case.
I'm going to say Fugazi because I think it's the load management portion of it that at this point, I don't care what the injury report says. If I'm, for example, in Washington, in the Washington, D.C. studios, the Wizards are a terrible team. If they were good, I would go. They're a terrible team. So the next thing would be, all right, who's coming to town that we can watch? At this point, I don't trust it because 2 hours before, it could all of a sudden be load management. 2 days before, load management. Like, I'm not taking that risk.
10 minutes before, load management.
I'm not taking that risk. So load management really has done this. And the NBA, I think, has done a good job of trying to get out of that, but they've got to start to change that narrative that, hey,
I disagree. Management. I think they've done a bad job because the issue isn't the load management. The issue is there's too many games and they refuse. I think there's too many games and they refuse to eliminate back-to-backs, which if you look at the analytics, tell you that back-to-backs are the worst thing you could do for players in the NBA. Like Draymond just said it, like these new rules trying to avoid load management basically got the MVP of our league hurt, where guys are going out there and trying to play through it because they got all these rules now where they have to play a certain amount of games to qualify for awards and they can't tank. What's going to happen is you're going to have guys play a game and then they're going to start them the next game. It's a back-to-back, play them 10 minutes, and then they're going to sit out. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, the NBA, we don't need 82 games. The regular season is already irrelevant. We don't need 82. Scale it down and get rid of back-to-backs, and this will be fixed.
JT, that will never go down because that takes money out of the owner's pockets. Less than 82. Sorry, buddy. That's the way it is. All right.
You want me to get this next one?
I'm going to go. I got them all. Relax. Take a seat. The Heat should part ways with Jimmy Butler.
Bro, I asked this question the other day on social media. They were frying anybody that said they agreed with this. I'm going to agree with this. Forget about it. The window to win a championship with him as a driving force is over. Like, I thought it was over 2 years ago and he had like a little juice left, but our team is not a championship contender. He's older. He can't carry us through every series like he once did. Like, look at the Boston series last year. Like, we were up, and because Jimmy Butler wasn't Jimmy Butler, it allowed that series to go 7 games. And then we know what happened in the championship against Denver. Like, those days of Jimmy Butler putting up 30, 10, and 10 and just carrying us with these ridiculous series are over. Like, Bam ain't stepping up to be the number one. Tyler Hero's not doing it. I love Scary Terry, but he's not going to be that guy either. Like, it might be time to find out what this team's going to be post Jimmy Butler before we can't get anything for him.
It's Fugazi. The guy's still averaging 21 points with 5 rebounds and 4.3 assists, averages over a steal a game. He's only 34 still. I know he has a lot of mileage on the legs, but he's only 34. Do you realistically think you can get a first-round pick? I'm not sure. The Heat.
Bro, you can get a first-round pick for anybody in the NBA. People want a first-round pick for Clint Capella. You can get a first-round pick for anybody in the league.
The Heat are in 7th place, and you know one thing about Pat Riley. He runs that organization like the Steelers. There is no rebuilding years. There's no rebuilding. There's no playing for the future. It's all about now and winning now. He's not going anywhere. He really isn't. So you got to figure it out. Keep mortgaging the future to bring in pieces now to win, because he's not going anywhere. It's Fugazi. All right. Brock Purdy will be an MVP. Are you saying are you saying like an NFL MVP of the regular season at some point?
In the future, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think it's forget about it.
Okay. Ooh.
Forget about it. I mean, as long as he's a 49er, absolutely, because Shanahan and Lynch aren't going anywhere, and that scheme fits Brock Purdy very well, and he'll always put up numbers. So I think it's forget about it.
I'm going to say Fugazi. I just think at some point, as McCaffrey gets older, Kittle, if you don't replace him as tight end, we see Debo already getting banged up. Sometimes you and I question Kyle Shanahan, which he could change in about a week and a half or a week.
But that's the playoffs. We ain't talking about that. We just
but what I'm saying is Kyle Shanahan, you keep having these failures. If Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat, listen, Kyle
Shanahan will never be on the hot seat. The fact that they went through that situation when he first got there where they weren't winning, but people were just excited the way they were playing. Bro, he's taking them to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, but he had a young team. He had a lot of young pieces. They're starting to break down. Listen, all I'm saying is Brock Purdy, he's got to get rid of the narrative that he's just part of the system. He's going to have to have.
I will change my answer.
Hold on. Let me just finish, and then you can change your answer. He's going to have one of those Tom Brady type years where he throws over 40 touchdowns, and they're the number 1 seed.
You can do it. I will say this. You make a great point, because I thought about that when I was giving my answer about the weapons around him. I will say this. This has a shelf life on it. I say 2 years. If he can keep this up for the next 2 years, he might have a chance, because once those guys, and they're old, like Trent Williams is another one. Like, he old as hell. Like, he eventually not going to be there. And what's going to happen is they're going to have this success, and they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy. And they're going to have to pay him sooner than a normal rookie quarterback that's good would, because he don't have the 5th-year option. Correct. So at some point, he going to get the $250 million, and you can't pay CMC. You can't pay Debo. You can't pay all these other guys. So I agree with you. It is forget about it if it's in this window that they have right now. Outside of that, I don't know, because if he ain't throwing to those guys and Williams ain't blocking for him, like, is he Nick Mullins?
Ooh, let's not go there. All right. Travis Kelce is the best tight end of all time if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl.
Yo, I'm not going to lie. And we had this debate, and you took Tony Gonzalez, I took Gronk. Like, I think Gronk is still the standard, and that's what's standing between Kelce and greatness. But I got to say, forget about it, man, because if he wins, he'll be tied with Gronk and Shannon Sharp at 3. And I think only one other guy has 4 Super Bowl wins as a tight end. But he's already second behind Gronk, and the stats are close in Super Bowl receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Like, it's only him and Gronk up there. And I have to say this, like, if he does, I think the wins, the stats, the longevity of his career, now he's got this whole Taylor Swift thing. Like, this is like rock star status. I think he does become the best tight end of all time if he wins this Super Bowl.
We were both wrong. Doesn't matter if they win or not. He is the best tight end of all time.
It's him.
So it's him. JT, listen to this stat. And I probably should have had this stat when we did that show originally. He's had, up until this year, he ended up like 32 yards or 16 yards short of 1,000 this year. That's because he didn't play in the first game or the last game. He's had, up until this year, 7 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons as a tight end.
Ooh, that's insane.
The next closest is 3 in a row. Or actually 3 total, I think.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Greg Olsen.
That's crazy.
I mean, he's had 7 straight 1,000 yards. I mean, there's some of the all-time great receivers that have never done that, let alone.
And he did that playing alongside Tyreek Hill, who's an all-pro receiver.
Yep. And I don't think all 7 years were with Mahomes either. So
I think one wasn't with him.
Okay, but still, Alex Smith.
1 year.
Actually, Mahomes has been around
6 years. This is year 7.
All right, so he did 6 of the 7. Okay, so still. All right, next one. The Ravens will never win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. Are you thinking about this? You had like a couple days to answer this question.
I don't want to do this shit. It's forget about it. And it's not because of him. I think Lamar Jackson has shown me this. As long as he's their quarterback, Baltimore feels like they can win with doing the bare minimum. And we talk about it all the time. If as long as he's there, Harbaugh's not going anywhere. They're not going to build the offense to get him all these weapons for a Super Bowl run. And it's harder to do that now because they just paid him the bag. So not because of him as a player, but I think because how Baltimore does business when he's on that team is why I think they won't win a Super Bowl with him.
So I'm going to say Fugazi because you act like and listen, we're not going to get into it, but you act like this organization and Harbaugh are just terrible. And it's like, JT, they've had 2 Super Bowl wins in the past 20 some years. They know how to build defense.
Ozzie Newsome.
I understand that.
Ozzie Newsome. No. So I know so you got glasses on, so you can see. You're not just gonna slide past the fact that they lost one of the best GMs in NFL history.
I understand that. I'm not denying that. But let me finish my point. They just went this past draft, brought in a guy like Kyle Hamilton. They had Mike McDonald come in, turn this defense around. So you're acting like they never go and try to make changes. Like, yes, do they need to add more pieces?
They don't go out. You know what they do? They are good at everything else except for getting Lamar what he needs. They don't want to bring in the running backs that he needs. They don't want to go get the receivers. Like their whole goal was, hey, we're going to pay Odell Beckham $15 million. Like, how did that work out? Not at all. They got lucky with Zay Flowers, but they could have went and got any one of these receivers. They could have spent a first-round pick on some receivers that are good years ago. They could have went and got any one of these receivers in free agency, but they refuse to do it because they know at the end of the day, they know, hey, Lamar can do it all for us. And sometimes when you got somebody that can do it all, that becomes a curse. Like, you don't feel like you have to work as hard on that side of the ball. You can't change my mind. I'm convinced.
That's fine. I was just giving my point, and you came in and like intercepted me for no reason. I was trying to make my point.
Quarterback.
So not as bad as you are in flag football, but
I can throw further than 5 yards.
The question is, the Ravens will never win one with them. They definitely can, and they probably will, because you look at their history. It just takes Lamar turning it around. Listen, he didn't have a great game. He didn't have a bad game, but he
has nothing to do with him. I want to be wrong.
Hold on. It partly does, man, because look at that Flacco run. That defense, yeah, it was good.
What you mean it was good? They had Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Terrell Suggs on a heater. These are Hall of Fame players.
This is why I can't talk to you when it comes to Baltimore and everything. You are more emotional with them than your own team.
Because my team sucks. I know what to expect from them.
See, you don't even care about your team.
I do care about the Dolphins.
Get emotional about it.
I do care about it. I can be emotional. I can be emotional, but when I do, you call me a hater. We can talk about Tua if you want to. I always have honest opinions about my Dolphins.
All right, let's finish with this. Taylor Swift is the reason the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl.
Damn, I would hate to say that the NFL would never take an opportunity to miss out on a gold mine. But that would mean I would have to subscribe to the whole sports is rigged theory, and I'm not ready to do that yet. And plus, I don't want my wife. I don't want her coming for me talking bad about Taylor Swift. That's not allowed.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know. Good to know.
I'll say it to her. I'll say it to her, but I can't say it out loud to y'all.
Well, you just kind of did in a way, but okay.
But I'm not. I think it's Fugazi. I mean, it's Mahomes. It's Mahomes. Like, this is what the Chiefs do. The Chiefs were going to AFC Championship games and winning big games with this trio of Mahomes, Kelsey, and Andy Reid way before he went on a date with Taylor Swift. So it's not like, if anything, she tanked their ceiling because she got with him and he played worse. So I can't say that, but I mean, there are people out there saying that NFL was not going to miss the opportunity to have this scenario, but I'm gonna say it's Fugazi. The Chiefs Mahomes is just that good.
I'm surprised you went with that. I'm gonna go Fugazi as well, because JT's more of the conspiracy theorist of the two of us. But I do wonder sometimes, like, man, you start to wonder sometimes, like, what is going on in some of these? There's too many storylines that add up.
You want a conspiracy theory? And this I can get with because it's been proven true. So like that, like each Super Bowl has like the logo that they put out for that Super Bowl, and it's got the color things
with the colors.
It was right every year, right up until people started putting that shit on the internet, and NFL's like, nah, we got to bait and switch. Because you know what the colors were this year, right?
I'm guessing red and white. I don't know.
No, it was going to be red and purple. So that looked like it was going to happen until the last couple of weeks. People started saying like, hey, like I don't believe sports are rigged, but they're just showing all this evidence, and the NFL's like, nah, they're on our trail. We got to throw this shit off. And plus, it's a win-win. Taylor Swift's going to be at the Super Bowl. NFL could never get her to the Super Bowl, and now like they got her to come. So I do believe there could be some truth to that because last year it matched up. It was the Eagles and the Chiefs. The year before it matched up. I mean,
so they made a call to Todd Monken and said, "Hey, you got to throw the ball 37 times. You got to make sure."
They're like, look, man. If Lamar hits this over on his rushing, you fired and you'll never coach again. Like, I'm serious, man. I don't know how it works all the way down, but like, hey, everything can't be a coincidence.
I don't know, man, but I'm gonna go Fugazi. She is not the reason they're in the Super Bowl. So
she almost the reason they didn't go because we need Travis Kelce didn't get that 1,000 yards. They needed that this year.
So before we close out, real quick, useless sport stat of the day per Opta Stats. JT Purdy's performance. All right. He became the first NFL quarterback in the last 30 years, whether regular season or postseason, to record this stat line in a single half. Throw for 150 plus yards, rush for 45 plus yards, complete 80% of his passes, average 10 plus yards per carry, and not one turnover in that half. That's pretty good stat line for one.
It's amazing when it's brought Purdy. We will find every stat in the book to talk about. He's the first player in NFL history in the
on last a Tuesday,
50 seconds of a game on Monday night in the second doubleheader
when it's raining
over the. Oh my God! Who cares? They won.